And you can't sit around and wait for a spark. You got to be the spark, right? That's either me being it, or Josh being it, or Trevor being it, or something. And then your team catches fire. And that's all part of learning how to win, learning how to do things right, repeatedly, week in and week out. And it's a long season, and I know there's going to be losses during the year. I mean, you're going to lose a game, you're going to lose a player, to injury and things like that. But it doesn't change, your attitude and your mentality towards trying to win games.
What put into and I apologize if you've asked this, on the Trevor stretching the arm out further, did you feel like he could, because of his length, that he could get there even though it was a full yard to go?
Yeah, I mean, Trevor's trying to make a play. Obviously had success in the past on it. Just came up inches short, but can't fault him for trying to make a play.
Was that the call play from the get-go, or is it something that he went to at the line because he saw something?
He saw something. It wasn't the actual play call, but he saw something there, and he had an opportunity to sneak it, and with his length, usually that works.
Coach, what was the final question? What was the single biggest issue this season that kept you guys out of the playoffs?
Gosh, I don't think there was one single issue. I think there was multiple issues. I look at, we talked a lot all season, execution, third down red zone. You look at the turnovers, versus the takeaways, the penalties. All those things just add up, right? So there's multiple things I think that we just didn't play clean football games. And down the stretch, I think that was our, the amount of turnovers we had in the last 4 or 5 games. Those things add up, and you can't give your opponents that many opportunities in games. You just can't. It's hard to overcome, and so I think there's a few things you can really kind of pinpoint.
Doug, last season you guys had an ability to finish, right? Like down the stretch of last season. This year, you guys aren't able to have that for some reason, despite having really the same personnel. How do you maybe make sense of that, just not being able to finish and execute when you do have like the same cast of guys that were able to do it last season?
Well, you got to remember, this is a new year. This isn't last year. Teams we play are good football teams. They get paid to stop us, and we get paid to stop them and move the football, and vice versa. And it's you got to take everything, and you got to. It's kind of case by case, right? It's year by year. It's game by game. This is a week to week business, and it's how well can you perform for 3 hours on a Sunday afternoon, right? And then you put that one behind you and you go to the next one. You put that behind you and you go to the next one. And we didn't do that consistently enough, right? And it goes back to the penalties and the turnovers. You won't be consistent if you don't get that fixed, right? If you don't stop the run, or at least slow a run team down, right? You just can't gain the consistency you want. It always puts you behind, and again, those are all things that we need to, and I need to look at moving forward.
How difficult is that process to figure out how much of it is execution by the players, how much of it is system and coaching, and figure out exactly what you have to do to fix it for next season?
Well, I think it's a little bit of everything, but again, it just comes down to now, taking time and going back through everything and really studying it and evaluating it. And I think it's, as coaches, our biggest, what we need to do is we need to communicate, right, with our players and make sure they understand the game plan or the technique or the scheme for that week. And then it's the players who take it, they have to study it based on the tape, and then go do their job, right, and go let their talent take over. And so it's a two-way street, right? But obviously, you know, coaches are held accountable, and that'll start with me.
How baffling was it season with having oftentimes 8 or 9 men in the box, and you weren't able to slow down Derrick Henry the way you would have wanted?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole game plan, right? I mean, that's what you got to do, and you know that coming in, and that's the frustrating part. That's the disappointing part, that you know what's coming, and you still can't stop it. And great player. Listen to me. He's a great player, and he's a load. And give him credit. You know, he had a good game today.